Okay. Good evening, residents of Everett, Washington. I would like to call to order the Everett City Council meeting of May 11th, 2022, and welcome everyone back in the council chambers. The City Council is conducting our weekly council meeting hybrid. This will allow us to reach members of our community who wish to participate via Zoom or those who wish to attend in person in the chambers this evening. It is our hope to continue this format to be as accessible as possible to the community. For those who wish to participate via Zoom, you may find the public comment registration form on the City of Everett website under the City Council Department. Once you select the register here to provide comment via Zoom link, you will be directed to a form that you need to fill out to provide public comment at any future meeting. After the form is submitted, you'll receive an email confirmation with the Zoom link and the phone number to the meeting, and participants must submit this form at least 30 minutes prior to the meeting. Forms submitted after that time will not receive the Zoom link or the number to speak, but may still participate the day of the meeting by coming in person to the council chambers right up to before the meeting begins. Please note we do not allow comments on any kind of campaigning, whether for or against ballot measures or candidates running for office. We also do not accept comments focused on personal matters that are unrelated to city business. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Mayor Franklin,
Excused?
Councilmember Ryan,
Excused?
Councilmember Vogely,
Here.
Councilmember Zarlingo,
Here.
Councilmember Tui,
Here.
Councilmember Fosse,
Here.
Councilmember Schwab,
Here.
President Stonecipher.
Here. I will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I would like to ask Councilmember Fosse to read the land acknowledgement.
The City Council wishes to acknowledge the original inhabitants of this place, the Shtahog's people and their successors, the Tulalip tribes. Since time immemorial, they have hunted, fished, gathered on, and taken care of these lands and waters. We respect their sovereignty, their right to self-determination, and honor their sacred spiritual connection with the land and water. We will strive to be honest about our past mistakes and bring about a future that includes their people, stories, and voices to form a more just and equitable society.
Thank you. Do I have a motion for the approval of the minutes of May 4th?
So moved.
Councilmember Tui seconds that motion.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Vogely,
Yes.
Councilmember Zarlingo,
Yes.
Councilmember Tui,
Yes.
Councilmember Fosse,
Yes.
Councilmember Schwab,
Yes.
President Stonecipher.
Yes. Since Mayor Franklin is excused, we'll move to public comment. Deb Williams, do we have any comments from the community for public comment this evening?
President Stonecipher, we have no written comment. We have one individual waiting online to speak. When I call your name, please begin by giving your name and your residence. Please turn on your camera if possible, and please unmute yourself. Paula Ryan?
Good evening. My name is Paula Ryan. Calling in today as private citizen. I live in Council District 2 in the Port Gardner neighborhood. Joining remotely, and I would join in person to provide comments tonight, but my spouse tested positive for COVID and I'm on primary parenting duty and I didn't want to jeopardize the health of other folks in the chamber. So but I did want to call as a private citizen to share that I think that the agenda looks really exciting for tonight's meeting. A lot of really great things to be decided. And I wanted to share that as a private citizen, I'm supportive of the consent agenda. And then later on in the agenda, I support the ARPA recommendations, especially funding for public toilets from a standpoint of public health and human dignity and decency. I think it's so important for our community. And also support the speed limit reductions. And if there's a presentation given tonight, I hope to hear more about how, about adequate accompanying signage that goes along with it. So I just wanted to share that with folks, and thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. And then I now have one other individual wishing to speak, but she has signed up to speak under item 13.
Great. I will take note of that.
And that is all I have this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. I will move on to council comments and liaison reports, starting with Councilmember Vogely.
Good evening, everybody. Well played, Paula, private citizen. I went to the Westmont Holly Neighborhood Association meeting last night and was happily, let's see, I thought I saw them here, but Bob Leonard and Kimberly, now I've forgotten her last name, I apologize, were there talking about parks and specifically Southwest Everett. I also was able to share with them, as many of you have probably been shared with, it's been a rough week. And not just week, but 2 years, blah, blah, blah. But I found myself in quite a rage yesterday. And I say that because I want to make sure that our law enforcement and first responders and everybody are taking their peer counseling and whatever mental health stuff is available. I know that we have some. If I can feel the way that I've been feeling for the deaths in our community, there have been a few, and I haven't even been there to see them. I can't imagine the first responders and the families that are dealing with that same thing right now. So, take care of yourselves. Oh, and plus my husband's in the Coast Guard and he's also been dealing with some peer stuff, not him, but with other folks, without giving too much PII. Things are hard, and take care of yourselves and reach out. And if your friend hasn't reached out, reach out to them, because it might be needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Zarlingo.
On the good news front, council members Vogely and Fossey and I attended a open house and tour this morning at the Snow Isle Tech Skills Center. And from City Administration, Dan Ernest was there as well. Really interesting and informative event. Just a couple of quick things, because I think we should all know more about what's happening with this really critical center. There are 22 different programs they have, and they're matched to the needs of our businesses, large and small, and to entrepreneurship. There are alternatives to the sometimes assumed and sometimes often very expensive default alternatives for college. A lot of these young people, either at that time or for a while in their life, have different desires, different intentions, and this gives a much better chance for a match for a wider set of high schoolers. So they attend that for a couple of years, transportation and the fees are provided. So this is a great opportunity. And it's not just a win for those community members, it's a win for our businesses. It's a pipeline of trained people there, trained in the basic skills that are needed to go on in a number of these different areas. It's a real competitive advantage for Everett. We've got a trained workforce for people, Boeing being the most notable, who have a need for those kinds of people. And that's the kind of thing that can help attract and retain other businesses here in the future. That's really important. And one of the most remarkable things that the chief there mentioned was they teach professionalism. And it occurred to me, often in high schools and in college, that isn't really as much of a focus. He explained something that I have seen certainly in the private sector, where a lot of failures of employees, or especially initial really rough times, are not due to a lack of knowledge or training. They're due to the background of the working world and working with other people. And a couple of the students we talked to talked about how they learned teamwork in this. That was the most important, most interesting thing that they learned. So I just think that's a win for everybody, for the corporations, for the community members, for the students, for their parents, given the price of some of the college, if it turns out that that's not a good option for the students. So great stuff. I really do support that. Look forward to hearing more about those programs. We only got a chance to see a few of them today, and I definitely want to voice support for that, and I suspect that Council members Vogely and Fossey would echo that. Yesterday's meeting of the Health District Board of Health, no big news there, except that the peak that we've been seeing recently seems to have leveled off. So another one of those bumps that comes perhaps from Easter gatherings, maybe less masking, but it isn't increasing hospitalization, which is still under control in our community, and isn't increasing the deaths. So I guess as the message is last week, take appropriate precautions, lean a little more toward being careful with this newest variant. Let's see, I stole a chunk of a morning from Fire Chief DeMarco went to various places in the city to understand some of the specific challenges in firefighting, safety, and medical emergency response. I learned a lot more detail and something I had known generally, and that Everett is unique in Snohomish County fire agencies and the challenges we have because of the things like the commercial and industrial properties we have, and also the number of areas we have people with high social vulnerability. So EMS calls higher there, fire calls there. And that's important for us here on the council because we're facing organizational, budget, and funding choices in the near to intermediate term to properly fund that. And that's helping me and obviously other council members as well learn what those challenges are going to be. The group so far has been handling that with efficiency and imagination, but some of that, runs out at some point. We will need to have more resources. An in-person meeting for the Silver Lake Neighborhood Association, attended that on Saturday, and that was a wonderful thing to see again, in person for the first time in a long time. In a big space with big open doors, so relatively safe that way, but reminded us of kind of how we forget that neighbor-to-neighbor thing that generates a lot of energy in our neighborhood. And I think that's enough for now. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Councilmember Toohey.
Yeah, thank you, Council President. So last Friday, I got to visit the tour, our pallet shelter program at the Everett Gospel Mission. I got to go with the mayor and Julie and Representative Rick Larson. It was great to see. I think it's 20 new pallet shelters have been installed. They're getting them ready for the new folks that will be coming in. I think June sometime is what he said they would be full up. What was great is that they expanded, they have a couple now pallet offices for support services. They have outdoor cooking area that's covered, and then they also have one large space that is kind of a group room that they can do some activities in. So it was really great to see the whole thing in operation. So looking forward to getting that finished. It's very close to being finished. I think they're just waiting for electricity and then a few other things. So that was great. And I just came from a really fun thing that's happening in downtown Everett. Saw Mr. Enersey there, and Councilmember Fossey was there at the Apex Art Center. It's the Club Broadway. A nonprofit is buying the building from a gentleman from Monroe, and he specializes in collecting graffiti art and aerosol art, which, as you know, the Shack Art Center had a big exhibit 2 years ago. Anyway, so it's exciting. So we had a little sneak peek at some of the artwork, and he hopes to renovate the building and open in maybe October. So if everything goes according to plan. So that will be a great asset for downtown, and it certainly will clean up that building, which is an amazing building. So historic. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Fossey.
Well, I can't say much better than Councilmember Toohey did on that. Thank you. And also, Councilmember Zarlingo with the Snow Owl Tech. It's so awesome. It was a really, really neat tour. Just a lot of great workforce pathways for our juniors and seniors. And it definitely is a kind of just an amazing program, prepping them for really exciting careers moving forward and valuable education. So it was incredibly informative. I'm so glad that we went. I also was able to attend the Puget Sound Regional Council Growth Management Policy Board, and we have our General Assembly that's coming up later this month that we'll be going to likely in person. I was able to attend the Riverside neighborhood recently, and the Evergreen Recovery Centers were presenting on their wonderful Evergreen Manor project that is moving forward with great neighborhood support. And their Garfield Park celebration is coming up on Saturday, 10 to 12. And the Mayor Franklin will be speaking there, and they'll also have a scavenger hunt. So I'm taking my kids over there. I was able to attend also the Cultural Arts Commission, so a couple of things on that is the COVID-19 art project. They need community input, so if you're interested in filling out a very brief survey, they have one at everettwa.gov/artsurvey, and that will help them with that project, providing a little bit of feedback. It's just a couple short questions. Sorticulture, June 10th through 12th. It sounded like they have over 120 vendors signed up there, and it's going to be downtown, and they are looking for volunteers. So if you're interested in volunteering for that, reach out to Tyler Chisholm, or you could reach out to one of us, and we can connect you too. 4th of July, looks like the planning there is going good, they said. They got food trucks and the music all booked, and Went Awards are on Thursday, so I'm excited to go to that. I also heard that this weekend that there might be transit fare free, is that correct? Is that, yeah, that's correct, okay. So fare-free transit this weekend on Everett Transit. I'm really sorry that Councilmember Ryan cannot attend, and hopefully maybe in the future we'll be looking at in emergency scenarios during the pandemic, especially for considering, mothers with children that go to school, that we might have emergency remote access for some of our council members that may want to participate, but maybe not want to, endanger other people to get them sick. So that might be something we could look at in the future. I was hoping to make a motion to evaluate doing a possible resolution, and so I'll need a second to support abortion rights and other reproductive rights, given the recent U.S. Supreme Court draft majority opinion, and hopefully urging maybe our federal elected officials to codify abortion rights. So if I have a second into looking into that, it would be
You
appreciated.
do indeed have a second.
Thank you.
Councilmember Fosse?
And that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, and you have a motion and a second to work with the city attorney on your resolution. Councilmember Schwab.
Yeah, thank you. It's great to hear the report so far. I was able to visit two neighborhood meetings this last week, the View Ridge Madison and the South Forest Park. And there were several themes, pretty much the same. First, it was just great to see everyone back, start building relationships. Some of the themes that they were talking about were like traffic speeds, some of the construction units, trucks, those kind of things seem to be taking a little path through residential areas, and that based on that southwest industrial area. So a lot of talk about traffic speeds, a lot of talk about non-neighborhood parking, unconnected vehicles and their parking on the streets. They had a lot of compliments for law enforcement, but they realized that there's a lot of work to be done, and good communication with law enforcement is critical. And they, obviously, there seems to be a big concern about a lot of people walking around in the middle of the night. They're banding together to work on some homes that have some suspicious activity overall. So it was really good to see these two neighborhood groups really get involved in what's going on in their community and get in law enforcement when needed. And it's really good to see. So I'm looking forward to those neighborhoods and how they contribute to making our lives better. So thanks.
Thank you. And for my report, I was able to attend the Port Gardner neighborhood meeting last night. They have a few members of their neighborhood association that are organizing a garage sale, kind of along the lines of what the Northwest neighborhood has done in the past. So that will be, I don't think they have a date selected yet. They don't want to compete with other neighborhoods that are doing the same thing. So they're working on that, and that will be announced at a later date. I did field comments from people who were at the meeting, and there were really a lot of comments about public safety concerns. Continued with homelessness activity, crime, small crime, and just a lot of open drug use in the neighborhood that people are noticing. So I know that we're trying to find solutions to that, but just pointing out that our public is getting very, very weary of that type of activity in their neighborhood. The Port of Everett was also there, made a presentation about their waterfront development, which was really fun to hear. I was really particularly glad to hear that the Weyerhaeuser building is going to be occupied. Somebody has taken on the task of renovating it, and there will be both a whiskey bar and a coffee bar in there, so there should be something for everyone. And in addition to all the other stuff on the property moving forward, which is great. They're doing a great job down there and really doing some positive economic development in our community. It's turning out to be quite a nice development. Then in the mayor's absence, I have a proclamation to read on her behalf, and so I will read that. Whereas on May 6th, President Biden proclaimed May 8th through 14th, 2022 National Women's Health Week and encourages everyone to join in a collective effort to improve the health of women and girls and promote health equity for all. And National Women's Health Week is a national effort to raise awareness about manageable steps women and girls can take to improve their health by prioritizing both their physical and mental health needs, and to consider the factors that influence their mental health, such as managing stress to ward off anxiety and depression. And women from all walks of life and every stage of life have unique health needs that should be addressed promptly and with the best medical attention available. And partnerships with social, health, mental, and other related services help keep women healthy and safe by promoting awareness of women's health issues. And women's health remains a priority for families, communities, and government by making it a priority to keep women healthy and strong. Now therefore, Cassie Franklin, Mayor of Everett, proclaimed the week of May 8th through 14th, 2022 as National Women's Health Week and encourage all people to support the health needs of women and girls and the necessary steps to improve their overall health and well-being. With that, I will ask, do we have an update from administration?
No update this evening, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rammerman, what do we have
Yes,
from the city attorney's office?
Thank you. We will be asking for an executive session tonight under 4230-140 to discuss a labor issue expected to last 10 minutes with no action to follow.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion for the 8 consent items?
Vogely so moves.
Fosse seconds.
We have a motion and a second for the consent agenda. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Vogely?
Yes.
Councilmember Zarlingo?
Yes.
Councilmember Tui?
Yes.
Councilmember Fosse?
Yes.
Councilmember Schwab?
Yes.
President Stonecipher?
Yes. We'll move on to the proposed action item. I'm going to read it into the record, and staff has provided a memo regarding this ordinance. Council Bill 2204-14, second reading. Adopt the proposed ordinance amending ordinance number 3136-09 and reading ordinance number 2682-03. The third and final reading will be on May 18th of 2022. Does anyone have a question about the proposed action item? Sorry, I didn't turn the page, Deb. Thank you. See, we're back in person here. I don't have what I need. I will read the next item as well, the next items. Council, item 10 is Council Bill 2205-15, first reading. Adopt an ordinance creating a special improvement project entitled Everett Main Library HVAC Replacement Project, Fund 342, Program 034, to accumulate project costs in the amount of $88,000. The third and final reading for this item will be on May 25th. Item 11 is Council Bill 2205-16, also a first reading. Adopt an ordinance creating a special improvement project entitled Third Avenue Water Quality Treatment, Fund 336, Program 029. Third and final reading will be on May 25th of 2022. And item 12 is Council Bill 2205-17, first reading. Adopt an ordinance amending ordinance number 3811-21 entitled South Police Precinct Locker Room Renovation Project, Fund 342, Program 032, to accumulate the construction funds for the project in the amount of $400,000. And the third and final reading of that will be on May 25th, 2022. Does anyone have questions on any of the proposed action items? Seeing none, we'll move on to our action agenda. Item 13, adopt the resolution concurring with staff recommendation and authorizing the mayor to implement some American Rescue Plan Act funded projects and initiatives listed in recital C. Do I hear a motion?
Councilmember Fosse moves that.
Councilmember Zarlingo, second.
Thank you. Before we ask if there are any questions, we have Julie, I see, yes. Julie Willie is here to give us a report.
Sorry, Pipa. I too am back, right, after 2 years of being in front of a screen. So I'm not sure I'm happy to be here yet or not, and I clearly drew the short straw to be here to present this to you, but I'm here with a team of colleagues that are all a part of our team that are bringing forward these ARPA projects. So good evening, I am Julie Willie. I'm the Community Development Director. And tonight, we're requesting approval of a resolution to authorize the use of up to, for a portion of American Rescue Fund dollars, also known as ARPA. In review, the city of Everett is the recipient of $20,695,570 from the Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund, as authorized by the American Rescue Plan Act. These ARPA funds represent a one-time opportunity to invest federal dollars toward our most pressing community challenges and recovery efforts that we otherwise wouldn't have the funds to support. These funds must be spent within the guidelines established by the U.S. Treasury and are separate from the city's general fund dollars. Staff developed priority areas based on required guidance by the U.S. Treasury, as well as a collection of feedback from community members, social service agencies, businesses, and in collaboration with Snohomish County government. Further, proposed projects have been developed, and over the course of the last several months, either have been expanded or eliminated based on the final Treasury guidance and continued reflection and input on how best to use these ARPA funds. A range of what we could be expended for each project has also been estimated. City Council held briefings over the past 9 months to both learn of and provide feedback about the proposed projects. To date, Council approved use of $1,483,224 of ARPA funds for the capital purchase of 40 pallet shelters and a restroom, as well as a resolution authorizing the Everett Forward Grant Program. More recently, city staff have devoted a necessary amount of planning and coordination time developing a next set of projects and have reviewed them against the final federal guidance for appropriate use of ARPA funds. These projects have been shared with council, either as a whole, in council liaison committees, or with individual council members. The purpose of this resolution is to authorize the mayor to allow and direct staff to proceed with the implementation of 6 projects using up to $5,620,000 of ARPA funds. Staff will return to council on any items requiring further action, which could include budget amendments, funding ordinances, or additional resolutions. In accordance with and to the extent required by our city procurement policy, staff will also bring to City Council the contracts, requests for proposal, call for bids, and other procurement matters as may be necessary for implementation. The resolution also formalizes that staff shall provide briefings to the City Council on the status of these projects at least once per quarter. The projects we request to move forward are, dun, dun, dun. Number 1, $2.7 million to further address the increased unsheltered population on costs associated with expanding pallet shelters in 3 locations. This will include necessary capital expenditures, site development costs, and 2 years of operational expenses. Number 2, $870,000 to expand service coordination and case management and navigation for those living unsheltered in Everett. These funds will provide a 30-month pilot program, which includes 1 full-time city FTE and a contract for direct case management services. Number 3, $450,000 for the Everett Point Industrial Center, also known as EPIC, to fund a portion of the Green Bridge type, size, and location study. Once EPIC is developed, the 60-plus acre site is suited to light industrial businesses and could provide hundreds of well-paying jobs and will address the loss of revenue experienced in our city during the pandemic. Number 4, $500,000 of technology upgrades, including hardware and software for permit services, and supports 2 years of funding for 2 full-time positions needed to develop solutions to support a fully digital and new technology implementation. This, too, will address the loss of revenue experienced in our city during the pandemic. Number 5 is $600,000 to create a 3-year Clean Everett program, which will be set to kick off with a citywide neighborhood cleanup and to fund 3 years of a 311 mobile application, such as C-Click Fix, which provides residents a responsive tool to request, track, and explore non-emergency services in our city. And number 6 is $500,000 to increase public restrooms in our downtown area so that people have greater access. Approval of this resolution will show your concurrence with the mayor of staff recommendations to move forward with these 6 projects and allocate up to $5,620,000 of ARPA funds. With that, me and my colleagues are here to answer any questions, but we hope you don't have any. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then President Stonecipher, we have 1 community member signed up to speak.
Yes, thank you for reminding me of that. Deb?
You have more questions? Hi, I'm happy to be back in person again. Good to see you all. I'm going to comment a couple of things before I'm going to be commenting on the EPIC site, but I just wanted to thank you. We had our Riverside meeting last night, and we had police officer there for the first time, so thank you, Sergeant Collins came. So it was great to have a police officer in person to talk with. Also, Snow Isle Skills Center, I just wanted to bring to your attention that at Garfield Park, we have 4 different metal projects that Snow Isle Skills Center created for us. The entrances to all the 8 panels to the 4 entrances to the park, the arch at the northwest corner, the frame around our mosaic art, and also all the tiles that are on our new shelters. So we have utilized them for many, many years, and we hope that they will be able to participate in our next art project, which is a Riverside story pole. That's going to go into, hopefully into the southwest corner of our park, which we're working on right now. So they are a great program. And then, Mary, thank you for sending me this information about EPIC. So EPIC Center is near and dear to my heart and to the Riverside neighborhood because it abuts our neighborhood, and we want to make sure that it is developed with lots of care and care is, and that you consider the impact on the Riverside neighborhood and mitigation for that. So I'm going to read read something that I wrote because I can't just talk. Okay, so anyway, the EPIC site abuts the eastern portion of the Riverside neighborhood. The site of the proposed bridge to access the site is located at the intersection of East Grand and Everett Avenue, which is the present site of the Riverside Park. This is a small pocket park created and primarily maintained by the residents of Riverside neighborhood, and it's been there for probably almost 25 years. The addition of this bridge will bring increased traffic into the neighborhood via East Marine View Drive and East Grand Avenue, 23rd Avenue and East Grand Avenue and Everett Avenue. I'm sorry, repeated that. Increased traffic will be, of course, city service vehicles and the employees who work there. Also, the commercial vehicles providing services to extended public works and motor vehicle department. The large construction trucks from the Interwest Construction Company that just moved down there. Utility trucks from the Penske Truck Company that just moved down there. And of course, the logging and lumber trucks from Cannon Lumber. And all the other vehicles that service the businesses down there. So there is a lot of large truck vehicle that go into the area in and out. And so our concern with this bridge is that they're going to be cutting through on East Grand and other parts of our neighborhood to get access to East Marine View Drive, to the freeway entrances and exits. Currently, the city service vehicles and all the other vehicles that service the area enter this area from Railroad Avenue via Hewitt and Everett Avenues. So what I'm asking for is traffic mitigation to deter traffic from using the neighborhood streets to access the EPIC site, specifically East Grand Avenue, which provides through access from Everett Avenue to East Marine View Drive and Everett Avenue. And I also request beautification mitigation to replace the open space and enhancement that Riverside Park now provides to our neighborhood. Burlington Northern Railroad has offered to donate the parcel to the south of Riverside Park when that time occurs. So that is a potential for beautifying that whole space. The bridge should provide pedestrian and bicycle access to Everett Point and the future Riverside Trail access that is going to be part of this project. And of course, all lighting on the bridge should follow night sky lighting specifications to address light pollution and migratory birds. So you're going to see me every time something comes up about this. I will be here speaking on this because it's very, very important to our neighborhood. So
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
And to the clerk, for the record, this is Katrina Lindahl, Everett, Washington.
I'm out of practice.
We all are. Thank you. Council members, you have questions or comments?
Yes?
Councilmember Vogely.
Thank you, Patricia, right? Sorry. Anyways, yes, thank you for being here. Let's see okay. I have my fingers crossed because I wanted to remember, and I think this maybe has to go with the bathrooms, and that's how I'm going to segue for the ARPA funds, that trans women are also women and girls, so let us also remember that it's all women and girls that need our support. And I'm hoping that when there are bathrooms, we will take note of that as well. I don't know if it's not really a question. I just wanted to get a point for earlier, whatever. A point across for earlier. And I can't remember any of my questions because I was just listening to all of the detail from our speaker. So thank you for being here and thanks for drawing the short straw.
Councilmember Zarlingo?
Well, just a quick thank you for coming to provide the local knowledge. That helps a lot in terms of what we do. And I know from my own experience in neighborhood groups that the earlier the better, the more likely that knowledge can be incorporated in the plans, which, as always, are full of trade-offs. And especially in looking into things like the donation of some other land that allows some additional degrees of freedom. So that's great background and on-the-ground work that I very much appreciate.
Thank you. Councilmember Toohey?
Yeah, thank you, Julie, for all this, and Katrina for being here tonight. So with the funds that we spent last year and this is about a little over 7 million of the 20. And remind me again, how long do we have to spend this? Is it 2 years or 3 years? I can't remember.
We have till the end of 2024 to allocate, end of 2023, obligate the funds, and then we have till the end of 2026 to expend them.
I see. Okay, great. So we have a little more time to plan the rest. Great, thank you. That's all.
Thank you. Councilmember Fosse?
Thank you for your presentation, and thank you, Katrina, for coming and speaking. And I'm sure the city will be looking into that with all of their study and adding that in, because I know they're already on top of it. I wanted to express just my support for all of this. When we were speaking with a lot of different groups and municipalities of the National League of Cities, it was very clear that the city of Everett was very advanced and progressive in their planning and was setting an example for so many other places. And that was just a big realization and a point of pride in that experience. And so I have absolute faith in this whole entire plan that you have going forward with this funding. And I'm super excited about the bathrooms, and all of these items on here are so crucial, especially the service coordination for our unsheltered. And so great job just to everybody who worked on this. That's all I want to say.
Thank you. Councilmember Schwab.
Yeah, a couple of questions. The dollars going for the Green Bridge, is that like the design phase? Is it permit phase? How far along is that this
Let me
plan?
invite Ryan
Okay,
Sassett, the Public
thanks.
Works Director, to share that information with you.
Thank you. Good evening. Yeah, this is to fund what's called the type, size, and location study, and that is effectively about 15% design. It identifies the type of structure needed, it explores the best location for it, and essentially lays it out for further design.
Very good, thanks. And then that's all I had for you, thank you very much. You look nice tonight, thank you. And then a question I had about the pallet shelter funding. Is there enough dollars in here to complete the site 2 and 3?
I believe so. We've also got a grant coming from Snohomish County ARPA funds, about
Okay.
$250,000. I just got the call from the county today to call them back about making that contract happen. And then we also know we have about $243,000 that Representative Larson got in congressional appropriations that will also be a part of it. So again, it's up to $2.7 million. And so we think between all of those funds, we will absolutely be able to make those 3 sites happen and to provide the needed operations for 2 years.
Thank you, that was my other 2 questions, good job. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And the only question I really have has to do with the cleanup, the Everett cleanup.
Yeah.
So what is the nature and scope of the cleanup? And I'm also not as familiar with the 311 line.
Yeah, well, this is another one of that multiple departments have been talking about multiple things in this Clean Everett concept. We got a grant early on in the Everett Forward of a neighborhood organization that wanted to do additional community cleanups. Throughout the pandemic, not only did we have unsheltered people that were like causing trash and accumulation, but we also had people that were really struggling, right? They were losing their jobs, and one of the first things to go, right, is paying your garbage bill. So we've seen a lot of garbage throughout our city and our alleys, and we had a lot of complaints and concerns. We saw that were being used for garbage and things like that. So a lot of our neighborhoods have been bringing the issue of trash and collection to the table. And so those things combined, as well as an opportunity to kind of unite Everett and bring us back together for something that we can all probably agree on, that a good cleanup, trash, get our neighborhoods re-engaged after the pandemic will be something that will feel good. So it also addresses just the opportunity for that. And then the 311 application is something that we've been hearing about for years. If you go to Seattle, you go to Shoreline, there's a lot of communities in our area that you literally can be on a walk and you're like, oh my goodness, look there's a pothole or there's a lock on the Grand Avenue Bridge. We don't want 10,000 locks on our bridge. I shouldn't have said that out loud, but nonetheless, like things like that, or like somebody left trash, or there's a concern with graffiti, and so you literally can take your phone, take a photo of it, and click it, and send it off to our computer system, and it will be integrated so that if it's Public Works or Parks or Community Development or the council that needs to be alerted of something, that it can happen that quickly. And so it really is a new tool for us to use, and utilizing ARPA funds would be an opportunity for us to do something that we wouldn't be able to do without those funds. Looks like Nick might have something to add.
And are there FTEs associated with this then? Because it seems like that's going to generate a lot more
Well,
contact from the
right now,
public.
it's still being developed, right? So this resolution will help give us the incentive or your permission kind of to keep moving forward. And as we learn more, we'll be able to provide you with more information. But the partnership's already been created with the Rubentino and the new company there, and they want to be able to provide some in-kind donations to be able to support that. And so really looking at that, and then perhaps doing like a one-time mailing for our neighborhoods to get them re-engaged, not only in the neighborhood associations, but also this Clean Everett idea. And then working long-term with a partner like we do with Green Everett, how we have Forterra as an organization that provides that volunteer management, to grow Clean Everett into that. So we might have a similar contract with an organization that will engage community volunteers to keep Everett green and clean ongoing.
Yeah, and then that totally makes sense to me. The 311 line, is that still just under exploration? I'm curious, how much traffic does that create and more work within the cities that have adopted that?
Yeah, well, again, I don't have a lot of the specifics, but like I said, the Public Works Department is also getting a new system, and so as they create their new system, we want to make sure that all systems integrate together and that we're working alongside. And I don't know if Dan, he came from a community that had it, so he might have a better ability to talk about it.
First of all, I have Find It, Fix It, which is the Seattle app, and I was going to take your picture and tell them to fix their council and mimic yours. So yeah, I'm Dan Ernestine, I'm the Economic Development Director, and I work pretty closely with our IT department and the Public Works Department to talk through this. Our hope, and maybe this is Pollyanna, but our hope is that it actually is more efficient than our current system, and it is more, it doesn't suck time from our staff as much as the current system, which is a phone call based. A lot of times people getting the wrong phone number, being cycled around, different call forwarding, or calling about something completely inappropriate, like somebody from Everett, Massachusetts, calling to get something fixed. That's extreme, but I've gotten several calls from there about different businesses that we should be pursuing. And so there's lots of things that are going on. If it's something outside the area, you get a very nice note from the program saying, sorry, this is not a City of Everett issue. You actually may be in unincorporated Snohomish County. Here's the number to call, or the 311 system that they have in place that they don't currently, but they might in the future. So our hope is that it won't add to the FTEs. In fact, we feel like it will make it quite a bit more efficient because the photos have the GIS information. If it's taken, for example, in the DEA Downtown Improvement District, it will automatically be forwarded to them without staff involvement at all. And we can pretty much parse the different choices and go directly to the department that is most likely to be able to field that effectively.
Sounds interesting. Okay. And that's all the questions that I have. Any last questions before we call the roll? Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Vogely?
Yes.
Councilmember Zarlingo?
Yes.
Councilmember Tui?
Yes.
Councilmember Fosse?
Yes.
Councilmember Schwab?
Yes.
President Stonecipher?
Yes. Item 14, adopt the resolution revising the posted speed limit on Evergreen Way and Everett Mall Way, SR 99. Do I hear a motion?
Absolutely.
Second.
A motion and a second. Let's see, was Deb Williams, did we have anyone signed up to speak on this item? Thank you. Council-
Would I like to speak
Would
on
you
it?
like to speak?
Certainly
Councilmember
I
Vogely?
would.
Okay. Let's hear it.
Oh, this is a long time coming, and I have great support for lowering the speed limits, not only where they are proposed this evening, but also elsewhere and even lower. So there you have that. Earlier, I spoke of various deaths in the city, and pedestrians is one of them. And this will not solve that problem, but maybe it will help. So that's what I am hoping by lowering speed limits. There's other things to do as well as lowering speed limits, but you have my full support, and also I'm sure a lot of my neighbors' support. So thank you. Oh, that's a great question. I kind of know it, but I bet Corey knows it best. And point of order, maybe the public's not supposed to do that, but it's my question too. Corey, what exactly are the speed limits
Well,
proposed?
thank you. Corey Hurt, City Traffic Engineer, Public Works. The proposed speed limit lowering would be on Evergreen Way, which is Highway 99, from Airport Road to Everett Mall Way, Olivia Park Road. It's currently 50 miles an hour. We're seeking to lower it to 40 miles per hour. On Everett Mall Way, from Evergreen Way to 7th, it's currently 40 miles an hour, and we're seeking to lower it to 35 miles an hour.
Thank you so much for that accurate answer. That's, I think, all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Zarlingo?
Don't go too far, Corey. I know that absent sort of extreme or draconian speed enforcement by law enforcement, there are other influences that are strong on the actual speeds traveled. And of course, sometimes that area is congested enough that the speeds won't be that high, but I know sometimes they are. And I guess I'm curious about a little more of a holistic view of what's going to go on there to try to improve pedestrian safety, to try to make those speed limits actually be obeyed more as naturally as possible. Can you give me a little bit bigger context that way?
Certainly. This is a part of an ongoing, program to improve safety on Evergreen Way. Over the past 10 years, we've improved the lighting and raised all the lighting levels along Evergreen Way. We have secured a couple safety grants to make pedestrian improvements, specifically at Airport Road and Evergreen Way. We had a project constructed there. We have installed sidewalk, and we've also installed radar speed feedback signs along that route. This is just part of a continuing process to improve safety by these speed limits are fairly old, and it's time to update them to some modern standards. And so we feel that 40 miles an hour on Evergreen Way is a really solid speed limit for that area. And as the Evergreen Way revitalization plan continues to improve sidewalks and frontage along Evergreen Way, we see that speed limits will continue to drop, and we'll continue to monitor them.
And do you have a sense of these new speed limits compared to current speeds during relatively speedy times of the day?
Sure, absolutely. Anytime we modify a speed limit, we're required to undergo an engineering and traffic investigation. This is a state highway, so not only does it require resolution from council, but it also requires a calendar action in Olympia by the State Department of Transportation. As a result, for the past few months, we have been working with the state, and we've done our own independent studies and came to the same conclusions about the appropriate speed limit out here.
I guess what I was thinking of is the percentage of people exceeding those limits going to dramatically change? I'm curious of just the current texture versus after the speed limit change.
Certainly, there isn't a huge drop in speeds. We're going to be dropping the posted speed limit out here 10 miles per hour, so we do expect to see some reduction. Right now, the 85th percentile speed is about 48 miles an hour on Evergreen Way, and the average speed is 42 miles an hour. So we selected 40 miles an hour as being close to the average. So we do expect some drop or moderation in speed, but typically when you change a speed limit, most drivers drive the conditions, and we expect just only a slight difference in speed change.
And lastly, will you have those flags sometimes that are on the new speed limit signs with the bright orange to kind of let people know there's been a transition here?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be putting large orange diamonds on the top of each of the speed limit signs to notify drivers that there's a speed change.
Great. Thank you.
Councilmember Toohey?
Yeah, Corey, I have just a couple questions. I'm just curious, like on Evergreen Way, where, when does it lower down to like 30? How far is that span then at 40 miles an hour?
So Evergreen Way in Snohomish County going northbound starts out at 45 miles an hour. With the change, as you cross the city limits, it would lower to 40 and then continue all the way to Everett Mall Way, where it drops, Evergreen Way drops down to 35.
Oh, okay. And then somewhere, when it hits Rucker or somewhere, it goes even lower as it gets into the city. Okay. And then I love all the stuff that you guys have been working on for safety on Evergreen Way. Last Saturday morning, very early in the morning going to the store, there was a guy just racing, I mean, literally racing, and somebody walking across the middle of 7 lanes, not even in a crosswalk. I'm like, okay, here it goes. But anyway, so at least we can maybe catch some of those. I noticed on Everett Mall Way, the signage, I don't know if that's part of this or not, the safety thing, but the Everett Mall Way sign as you're going north was almost totally faded out. You could hardly read it at all. So I don't know if there's something in the queue that, I know they rotate the signage every so many years, but first, I really noticed it really faded out, so just, I don't know if
Okay.
you're the one or Ryan, but anyway.
Are we talking about the speed limit sign or the
No,
Everett
this
Mall
is
Way
just the
sign?
big sign for the street. and
The green
everything.
street name signs that we
Yes,
talk about.
we do have a program, or we are preparing right now to go out and replace many of the signs, overhead street name signs on Evergreen Way and Everett Mall
Okay,
Way.
great, thank you. All right, that's it.
Thank you. Councilmember Fosse, did you have any questions or comments?
I do not, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Schwab?
Yeah, I just want to tell you, I appreciate the work you're doing on this project. And I know it's a big concern for the south end neighbors, the speed on that road. It is very difficult to cross, and I know you're aware of it. So I appreciate all your work of your staff and hopefully continue to make improvements. Thanks.
Thank you. And I just have a question about the process whereby we kind of identify where you mentioned that these are old speed limits and need to be modernized. Is there a formal process that the department goes through to kind of look around and say, okay, where are we, do we review these on a periodic basis? Is this like an every 10-year review, or do we wait until we get accident or complaint information?
Well, certainly it is a good idea to review speed limits. We've had our eye on these 2 particular stretches of road for some time. We do have a plan to try to evaluate all of the speed limits on all the arterials in Everett. That would mean hiring an expert, a consultant to come in and do an independent evaluation of the speed limits on all the arterials in Everett. And then there would be an extensive public process through the Transportation Advisory Committee, and then we'd bring a briefing before council.
Great, and is that on the docket, or is that something that you're hoping to get on the docket?
We will be working on it this fall.
Okay, great. I think that sounds like a good plan, because I will probably speak for all council members. We hear a lot of complaints about speeding traffic through our community, and we know with, major employers here, people are using our city as kind of the cut through, and also to avoid a lot of the congestion that had occurred and is reoccurring now post-COVID on I-5 and other areas. So it would be great for us to take a look at that. That's all the questions I have. Any final questions or comments before we take the roll? Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Vogely?
Yes.
Councilmember Zarlingo?
Yes.
Councilmember Tui?
Yes.
Councilmember Fosse?
Yes.
Councilmember Schwab?
Yes.
President Stonecipher?
Yes, and we will now move into our executive session for 10 minutes, and we'll reconvene after that and adjourn with no announcement anticipated. she said. The Everett City Council is back from its executive session, and with no further business, we are now adjourned.